Hello guys and welcome to an NGB video review. I'm Ben and I'm joined by Johnny.
Hello to you.
Hello, I'm joined by Andy.
What is up?
And I'm joined by Matthew.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Farpoint. Now, Farpoint is probably the next big VR game from Sony.
After it's gone a bit quiet on the old VR front for Sony.
Yeah, since Christmas, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's nice that they've got a big title on the way.
Yeah, so obviously, Resident Evil came out in January. That's been the big VR game so far. And Farpoint is out now, and I quite like it with some pretty big caveats. The first thing to talk about is the Aim Controller, the PlayStation Aim Controller, which is currently being held aloft by Andy. I like it. I think it's a really solid piece of kit. It's shaped like a sort of generic firearm, if you like. It's got all the buttons for a DualShock 4 on it, and it's really good. I think it's a very good piece of kit. I think the tracking on it is superb. I think it doesn't waver, it doesn't drift. And the good thing about having that instead of the Move controllers is that it's got like a solid frame to it. So when you've got your Move controllers, obviously your hands can drift apart and don't really get an idea of what's where. But with this, you hold it and it's there, and that is the shape of the gun.
When I was playing the PSVR, I was surprised at how responsive and how well the Move controllers work with it. I think a lot of it's down to the balls on the end of it, isn't it? With how much visibility the camera gets on those, as opposed to the bars on the back of the controller.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you need to make sure that you're in a fairly dark room for it to work properly. So, we actually had some fun and games over Christmas because we had some red lights along the mantelpiece, and the red lights interfered with the red lights on the Move controllers, which then made it a lot of fun. So, anyway, I digress. Farpoint itself, it's kind of, the story's a bit kind of generic sci-fi.
Man goes to alien planet to conquer planet.
Not necessarily to
Aliens
conquer
are bad.
planet. Well, it starts off where you're
Man is always bad. Man is the real monster.
Oh, okay.
You start off, you're in space, and you're trying to find the source of this. There's a big energy signal from somewhere. You don't know where it is.
No.
You're trying to find the source of it, and then all of a sudden there's a big explosion, and you get sucked into this void, and you end up on an alien planet. So you have to follow the tracks of a couple of scientists. Just preface this, at this point I've yet to finish the game, but the review will sort of feature a more complete review. You have to follow the trail that him and his colleague have left as you try and figure out what's happened to your ship and what hasn't happened to the planet. Obviously, it's not quite as straightforward as that. As you walk along, you'll find you'll start seeing little critters which have got 6 legs. They are not spiders, but they're really quite creepy anyway.
Spider-esque.
Spider-esque, yes. There'll be tons of them just flying at you. And when I say flying at you, I mean they are flying at you. You will be walking along, and then all of a sudden one of them will jump at your face.
Go face-hugger on you.
Yeah.
It's like someone stood off to one side throwing spiders at you.
More or less, yeah. Spiders that are the size of a dinner plate.
And what we want in our games.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really get any less frightening when one of them just jumps at you with its little high-pitched scream.
Just like that, Matt.
I can't go high pitch though. I can't go high.
What are the scare levels like then? Is it a scary game?
It's atmospheric, and obviously the thing is, in order for a VR game to be scary, it doesn't necessarily have to be.
No.
It doesn't, if the game was on a TV, say, I don't think I'd find it anywhere near as intense playing it.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the things that I do like about the game is that with it being in VR, it's very easy to dismiss it as just another corridor shooter, shooting gallery kind of game. But it's got a lot of stuff to like about it, and I mean the environments are well designed. I think the guns feel nice, the weapons feel good, and I think that's partly due to the aim controller. I wouldn't necessarily say that playing it with a DualShock is the best way to play it. I think having the aim controller is definitely.
Isn't it bundled with the aim controller?
You can buy a bundle with the aim controller, but you can also buy it on its own.
Right.
So if you're not wanting to spend I think it's 75 quid for the controller and the game.
Yeah.
That's not bad though.
I think that seems reasonable.
Yeah, to be honest. I was
Yeah.
expecting you to say like 100 odd quid. So
No,
Because
so I mean,
what's the game rate for a controller nowadays? 50 quid?
Yeah.
45
Yeah,
quid? So
about
yeah,
50
so when you
quid.
consider that,
yeah,
I was going to say, I think
Yeah.
Nintendo raised the bar on the price of a controller these days.
well, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people were thinking that the Aim controller was just like a holster for the Move controller, but it's not. It's a full-on.
It's a good bit of kit, actually. We had a go at this at PSVR event last year, did we not?
Yes.
And I was impressed because I, like you say, I thought it was just like a fancy Move controller.
Yeah.
But it's got all the buttons on it, guys.
Yeah.
And very interestingly placed as well.
Yeah, so it's really ergonomic. It's really really nice, and
Yeah.
you know the only thing that it doesn't do is the touchpad isn't a touchpad. It's just like a button. But yeah, on the whole, like I really like the controller a lot more than I like the game. But that's not to say that I think the game's bad. I think the point that I'm at the game at the moment, it is very much kind of, here's some rocks, here's some spider things, shoot them,
Yeah.
move on, here's some more rocks, here's some more spider things, shoot them.
But what are those environments like? Because when I played it was just like a Mars-esque level.
Yeah, that's
Is that
essentially
basically
it.
the whole game?
Well, from what I've played so far, yes.
Okay.
I will, do some bits in the review to kind of elaborate on that. But there are some bits at the moment where, I've played where I'm going through caves and they've got like different, light sources and stuff like that, and it's a really immersive game.
Yeah.
But the other problem that I've got with it is really the checkpointing and the enemy spawns. So like there's a mission fairly early on where you've got to take on a massive boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it the one who comes out at the end of the demo?
Yes.
Yeah, I know the one. Okay.
Yeah, so basically it's this enormous spider type thing
Big lad.
that just pops out of nowhere, more or less, and you have to take him out. Or take her out, actually, it's the queen. So you've got some very rough checkpointing and like quite a lot of enemies spawn.
Okay.
And it's really frustrating because if you die while you're fighting them, you have to go back to the very start of the fight. Whereas it's very clear that there are stages. So like, there's the first stage of the battle, and then she disappears off to another part of another area in the map, and then she comes back into a different area, and it doesn't spawn you back to that point. It spawns you back to the start of the battle each time.
Yeah.
Maybe you just need to get good.
I mean, normally it wouldn't be too much of a problem, but I think the thing is when you're in VR, you expect things to be kind of a bit more segmented.
Yeah.
And a
bit more simplified.
Yeah. And I think that the constant spawns of enemies make it overly busy. It's not to say, I'm finding the game too hard for the game just being too hard's sake. It's just that there are some moments where I just think, I would like it if... I think I'd much prefer it if there was a break in the constant flow of smaller enemies to break up the combat and take out, the big bad. As it were.
Are spiders a bit of a cop-out when it comes to designing computer game enemies? Because,
they're not spiders. Spiders got 8 legs.
Well, yeah, but spiders,
6 legs.
licky things, because...
Spiders are arachnids.
everyone's
these are
scared of
insects.
spiders, right? So, we'll have big spiders. Whereas, you could have done something new, right? Something original.
I mean, they could have done.
Instead of just gone, well, people don't like spiders. They make spiders the enemy.
Mate, it's an immersive VR game with a realistic gun attachment.
Yeah.
What do you want?
The
Not
original
spiders.
enemies. I don't dislike spiders. I'm just,
Can you pistol whip people
I think
as well?
After Prey as well, which came out recently, which had little spider dudes as well.
You could
Yeah.
literally pistol whip Johnny if you wanted. I'm not going to stop you.
I mean, I'm going to take this off Matthew now because he's getting quite violent. You can, if a spider thing jumps at your face, you can knock it out the way with the end of your gun.
Brilliant.
If you've run out of ammo.
Okay, I like that.
Although saying that, the ammo is actually unlimited. So basically, when you apart from the grenades and stuff,
Okay.
so with the shotgun, you press the reload button on the side, and it kind of takes elements from the atmosphere and forms ammo from the atmosphere.
Okay.
Which is quite cool.
Yep.
Is there anything on the bottom of this? Now that's a shame. That's a missed opportunity to have some. Oh, hello! I've turned it on. They could have had a button on the bottom of this, couldn't they, for a reload? So you could sort of slap a cartridge in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've done a really good job with
Yeah.
with this from what they've done with it, and
Oh yeah, it's a solid piece of kit.
yeah. I mean, as I say, I'm a big fan of the hardware. The software is, the game is good. It's not great, and I think, depending on what happens with the story, it's kind of, it's a solid 7.
Does it bode well for future use of the VR headset by FPSs?
I think it does. I think it sets an interesting. It sets an interesting stage because obviously you're fairly limited by the PS4 in terms of the graphical fidelity and stuff like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
so you can spend a lot more time on your environments and things like that rather than trying to just push pixels as much as they can.
You have to actually focus on the game rather than visuals.
Yeah, and I think Farpoint does a lot of things well, but what it doesn't do well, it does frustrate with.
Okay.
The co-op mode, actually, that's something I need to talk about. The co-op is actually really good fun.
All right.
So you can play online with another person. It's a 2-player co-op, and it's almost like a wave-based mode where you just basically have wave after wave after wave of enemies come at you.
Okay.
And that gets really difficult really quickly.
Right.
And you have got to be shit hot with this.
Is there a hindrance there in that you would need to VR headsets, I assume?
It's only online.
Oh, okay, no. Cool, yeah.
Locally, it's only 1 player.
No, right, cool.
Yeah.
There could have been an interesting angle there for PvP locally, in a sort of a zombie U type of way. You could have had a player on the screen actually populating the area with a.
Yeah, Farpoint. It's all right if you've got a PSVR and you're itching for something new to play, and you like shooting spiders. It's probably worth giving a go.
Do you reckon spiders get a bad press? Like, I think they might be alright spiders.
Leave
They're quite useful,
the
aren't they?
spiders, Johnny. Leave the spiders.
Because, like...
That's our Farpoint review.
No, because spiders, right? They're actually
Leave
quite
the
useful. They
spiders.
like kill flies and stuff, right? No one likes flies. They get in the way, right? So spiders are actually quite good guys, but we're just giving them... They're the Russians, basically.
Mate, they've got
six.
I'm going to stop you here.
They've got 6 legs. They're not spiders.
Okay, right. Anyway,
Bye.
That's our Farpoint review. If you have enjoyed this video,
Justice for spiders. Justice for spiders.
Aside from
Jesus
Johnny's ramblings, please drop us a like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you next time.
#Justice for spiders.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.